What's going on, everyone? My name is Jasmine. Today's episode of the Slain Project is going to bring us back to 1983 when two women were found separately murdered in the Arizona desert. They remained unidentified for decades before finally being identified as Peggy Ann Elgo and Lori Megan Longchase. Although they have been identified, their cases are still cold and their killers have never been caught. Don't forget to check out my other videos, and if you want to see more videos on missing and murdered Indigenous people, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. Now let's get right into it. Arizona's Southwest Desert offers a sense of tranquility with picturesque landscapes, but there is a much darker side that is unknown and unseen by most people. It is the scores of unidentified bodies that have been found. The desert offers an almost perfect environment to dispose of a murder victim with minimal effort. Near Phoenix in 1983, the bodies of two women would be discovered in the desert. One was headless and the other had a head full of curls. These two Jane Does would remain nameless for decades. They will be intertwined forever because one was believed to be the other before official identification confirmation. It all began on June 7, 1983, when the headless body of a female was found near Cactus Forest Road in Pinal County. She was wearing suede-type jogging shoes that were brown and white socks with red trim. There was no mention of other clothing. She was found in a desert wash and was severely decomposed. Although her head was not found, there was black hair found at the scene. It was never stated if her head was removed by the killer or if it was drug off by animals. This case was ruled a homicide and little could be done at the time because the DNA technology was not there. This set of bones would become known as the Pinal County Jane Doe, and there would be no activity in the case for another 35 years. After decades of being shelved, the case was uploaded into the public database called NamUs in 2013. They listed this Jane Doe as being African American and between the ages of 20 and 25. The NamUs page has since been deleted, but the information is still available on web sleuths. About 2 months after this body was found, another one was found on August 15, 1983. An employee of the Salt River Project was driving down the road when he discovered the body in an irrigation ditch. The location is said to have been in the Ahwatukee neighborhood in South Phoenix, which is in Maricopa County. In an early news article, the exact location is described as 4300 East William Fields Road and about a mile away from the Gila River Indian Reservation. But that location is further east of Ahwatukee in the suburb of Gilbert, and it is not a mile from the reservation. Another location released in a media article is listed as 43rd Street and Williams Road. I could not find this exact location on Google Maps, but the Ahwatukee neighborhood has gone under a lot of development since 1983. The woman was suspected to have died only 24 to 36 hours earlier, but the hot desert heat had already severely damaged her body. She was believed to have been between 19 and 30 years old and about 5 feet 5 inches tall and between 125 and 140 pounds. There was no information about clothing found, but it was noted she had short black hair with loose curls. A notable mention was that she had excellent orthodontic work done and was wearing a metal retainer when found. There were few clues at the scene, and it appeared she was killed somewhere else and dumped at this location. Fingerprints and dentals were recorded, and this unidentified body became known as the Ahwatukee Jane Doe or the Phoenix Jane Doe. This case went cold and was stagnant for decades before being brought back to life by the Phoenix Police Department in 2018. They began working with Parabon Nanolabs to develop a profile for this Jane Doe by analyzing her DNA. This process is called phenotyping. They also sought out help from genetic genealogists to trace her family tree. In 2020, they released a computer-generated likeliness of her and said she was most likely a member of the San Carlos Apache tribe. This action caught the eye of the family members of a lady named Peggy Ann Elgo. She was a member of the San Carlos Apache tribe, and her family said they had not heard from her since sometime in early 1983 when she was 19 years old. She lived on the reservation with her sister at the time and had a 1-year-old son. She was known to travel between the reservation and the Mesa and Phoenix areas. Not much else was released on her activities at the time, like if she was known to hitchhike or had a boyfriend. Investigators quickly gathered DNA from Peggy's family to compare with the Ahwatukee Jane Doe, and everyone was hopeful that they would get a successful match. But when the results came back, they were negative. But investigators did not stop there. They entered the family members' DNA into CODIS, which is the main DNA bank in the United States for law enforcement agencies. A match was soon correlated with the Pinal County Jane Doe. This was a great breakthrough for investigators because her body was found without a head, so no sketch or clay composite was ever done for her. Plus, they had her labeled as African American, so Peggy fitting the description of the Pinal County Jane Doe was never a possibility in investigative terms. An official announcement was made in March 2020 that confirmed that Peggy Elgo was in fact the Pinal County Jane Doe. Peggy's family finally had the answers they were searching for. But who was the Ahwatukee Jane Doe? This question still perplexed investigators until a major lead developed in 2021. Police were contacted by a woman named Longchase. She became aware of the Ahwatukee Jane Doe when one of her nieces showed her a sketch. The main thing that stuck out was the feathered hair and the timeline when the body was found. Memory was only 5 years old when her adopted sister Lori Longchase vanished in 1983, but she was hopeful that she had finally found her long-lost sister. On May 5, 2022, which is MMIW Day, the Phoenix police released a video stating that the family of Lori came forward in 2021 and that she was 17 years old when she was last seen. They also stated that she was adopted by the Longchase family and that their DNA cannot be used to rule out or confirm Lori as being the Jane Doe. The police made a plea to the public in the press release for anyone who knew of Lori's birth family to come forward with this information so that DNA could be compared. One thing not mentioned in the press release was that Lori gave birth to a baby boy in 1982. His name was Bronson Hawk Longchase, and he passed away just 4 days after his birth. The Phoenix police were waiting for the legalities involving exhuming the baby's body and applying for the appropriate funding to test the DNA of Lori's baby against the Jane Doe. But since Lori's birth family could never be located, this would be the final puzzle piece in solving the mystery behind the Ahwatukee Jane Doe. Bronson's remains would finally be exhumed, and the DNA extracted was compared with the Jane Doe, and it was a positive match. Lori's sister Memory finally got the answer she so desperately needed. She never forgot about her big sister and did everything in her power to seek out the truth. When her mother passed away in 2016, she listed Lori as surviving, and it appears that she also never gave up hope in finding her either.
After 41 years, science was able to give her name back. And so I guess I have every reason to hope that science can bring her justice too.
Justice that Memory says is not found nearly enough when Indigenous women go missing or are murdered.
This is a very real issue, and I want to share Lori's story so that we can bring this to everybody. People need to know this is happening, that we are dying, and people should care.
Now, if you have any information about Lori Longchase's murder, you're asked to call Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS. Reporting live tonight in Gilbert, Nicole Christine, Fox 10 News.
According to a GoFundMe page that was set up, Lori and her son Bronson were reunited and cremated together. Although the Pinal County Jane Doe and the Ahwatukee Jane Doe were officially identified, the mystery remains of what happened to them, who killed them, and why. Did you know Peggy Ann Elgo or Lori Longchase? Do you remember their friends or anyone else they may have associated with? Have you heard any rumors about what may have happened to them? Did Peggy and Lori meet the same person who did this to them, or did they run into separate killers? Did the two women know each other? Were they hitchhiking, or did they travel with someone they knew? Where were they murdered before being dumped in the desert? It has been over 40 years since their murders, and we may never know the answers to these questions. But by looking at the facts, it is most likely that the killer or killers are local to the area. Please contact the authorities with any information you may have, even if you think it's irrelevant. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you knew these women, please share any memories of them, and I will see you in my next video.